Welcome to the Manufacturing Shakeup. We're your hosts, Ellen Feldman-Ornato
and Jenny Drescher. We're talking with dynamic women from across the manufacturing scene in Connecticut.
Friends, have you ever discovered that you had a story in your head that you were telling yourself either about a person or a situation or even about yourself and the way you needed to be that turned out to be entirely wrong? Today we're going to visit with Kristina Pacheco, from Kamatics. And Kristina, we're going to start with a question for you, which is, when you started working in manufacturing, did you have any preconceived notions about how you needed to be in order to be successful as a woman?
Absolutely. Getting into manufacturing, it's assumed it's majority of men, right? So I'm a woman coming into this, and how do you get past the, oh wow, there's a woman here? I felt like I had to portray myself differently. I came in dressing like a man. I was wearing just plain, rugged work clothes, work boots, like plain t-shirts every day. They changed colors. That's it though. They were the same t-shirt, just different colors, just plain as could be. And I felt like, during that time, I am saying, okay, so if I look this way, people will not think that I'm doing this for attention, and maybe they'll listen to my, my mind more, and see my worth ethic and realize that I am capable and I am valuable, and I am not doing this for show. I'm doing this because I actually love to do it, and I want to learn and I want to grow, and I need to be taken seriously. But it was one of those things where I just was always scared that people were going to see me as less than if I showed up as my, doing my makeup all crazy, or, wearing kind of stylish work clothes within, reason, and actually putting my flair on it. But I felt like I lost myself a little bit. And I realized that was probably not needed. I probably could have came in as myself, and my worth ethic and my aspirations would come out regardless of what I appeared as.
I think there are so many. I love everything you just said. I feel like you just conveyed a story that women who are working in heavy industry bump into pretty often.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad. I thank you for being willing to share that very heartfelt perspective on that, because there is this thing that we humans learn that tells us I need to be a certain way to do a certain thing in order to succeed, or in order to make sure that I come across and it's just, there's so much work involved in doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really inauthentic. And so exactly. I love that you discovered that was wrong. I didn't really need to be doing so much of that as I thought I did. I really hope our listeners, you at the stoplight, pay attention to the road, but I hope our listeners really hear that and take that to heart, because that is a critical piece of anybody's career learning journey. What were some of the things that allowed you to realize that you didn't need to work so hard to perform a certain way to make sure you got seen a certain way?
It was actually kind of crazy, because there was two things and they happened exactly at the same time. So my little sister, she's also a beauty school dropout. And she was going to the machining program at Assuntuck, and I worked with Kamatics to try to get her in as an intern here, and we did successfully. So she was coming in, and when she would come in, she's got these dangly earrings and just kind of creative, outrageous, crafted, and she's got her makeup done, her hair, and she's all cute. And I'm what are you doing? What are you you're at work. At first they're freaked out, and I'm wait, hold on, no, this is beautiful. This is amazing. Wait, I can do that too. Okay. So it's actually my little sister who inspired me to kind of just break out of that, because then I had to self-reflect and be like, what is me, like, if I change the way that I appear right now, is that going to change anything in my circumstances? No, it's just I mean, on the outside, it's not, but on the inside, it will. It'll be big because I feel more myself, and I gained more confidence out of that. And then the other thing was, at the same time, I also got the position that I am in now, and that was from all of my hard work. So I felt like, okay, I'm like, this doesn't matter. I am proving that I am capable, and an asset and valuable, that, how I come off, and how I appear, it doesn't matter. Like, if anything, it probably hinders.
Right.
You
And
know,
there's this cheap advice out there in the world that we've all received at one time or another, that is, be yourself. But I mean, realistically, what does that mean? Right?
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody in the world has heard be yourself and gone, okay, what is that? What am I supposed to do with that? Like,
Yeah, my favorite one is, you need to be able to bring your whole self to work. I'm like, you don't really want my whole self.
no,
at work.
it's not allowed at work. This is
I clearly need to curate the version of me that you're going to see, so that it's me, and it's a me that's acceptable to you, which is always sort of a dance, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like you walked that line and found your groove,
Yeah.
and made it work for you, and you're now advancing through the company as a more authentic version of who and how you are.
Yep.
Which actually, I don't know if you realize this, but it creates permission for the people around you to be more of who and how they are as well. That's one of the things, when you show up as who you are,
Yeah.
that people reflect that back to you and see you as that more authentic person.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, it makes the workplace more enjoyable when people are themselves. And you can always tell when people are, not, I guess, bringing themselves out there. You see it, you feel it. There's even just like an energy about it too. So it just makes everything like, hey, we're at work, we're getting it done, but we don't have to be robots. We can bring that aspect of ourselves to work, get the work done, and it doesn't need to be any sort of a distraction. Me wearing, more, I don't know, more fashionable work clothes is not going to change anything except for internally. And maybe an influence, maybe people outside as well.
Yep.
I
Now,
wanna,
along the
circle
sorry,
back.
go ahead, Elle.
No, I wanted to circle back because you dropped in that you helped your sister get an internship.
Yeah.
And you said she's a beauty school dropout too. Can we just visit that for a little bit? Because I remember meeting you at one of the Elevate Her meetings, and you said, I used to do this and now I do this. And I was like, well, that's an interesting career change. So could you just go down that path a little bit?
Yeah, it was, I thought that I wanted to be a mechanical engineer out of high school. And, I got into the colleges I wanted to, not realizing that there was a lot of money required to do that. So I had to take a step back, and I'm like, okay, I want to work with my hands. What can I do that I would also enjoy? And everybody loves like picking pimples. I mean, or you know what I mean? Like one of those, like, okay, exactly. Okay, maybe not. So maybe it's not for everybody, but so I went into electrolysis. I did permanent hair removal. It just wasn't for me. I was in a dark room inflicting pain on people all day long. And then I thought I was going to do, permanent makeup. And I went to aesthetic school, and I also realized it wasn't for me. That's where I dropped out of beauty school. And, I was on track to going into the military because I was just so lost. I'm like, where can I don't know what's out there. I know that I don't want to be doing this, but I want to work with my hands, and I don't know what's out there. So maybe if I got into the military, I would be exposed to more, and I would take a liking to something. And, I got lucky to meet my now fiance, and, he showed me how to weld. I was like, and I was welding, and I was like, this is so cool. You get to do this every day. This is like art. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a welder. And I looked it up and I found the school and I walked in and said, I'm going to be a welder. And it's like, well, we also have a machining program. Have you ever thought about that? I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And, I watched a 5-minute YouTube video when I got home and was like, all right, sure, sign me up. Let's do it. And then I jumped in. I had no idea what I was getting into. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was the best decision. I just took to it. I was fascinated. I love the, you're working with your hands, but you're also working with your mind. You're troubleshooting. You never stop learning. So yeah, it's been a bumpy road to get here, but I'm so happy that I'm here now. And
I want to pull that out for a second. And
yeah.
A lot of our listeners are young people or moms and dads who have young people in their homes, and they wonder, is manufacturing even an option for my kid? Is it even an option for me? Like, there's all this talk about manufacturing in Connecticut. Well, what could that look like? And friends, you just heard how cool that is, that line of work that Kristina got herself into. She gets to work with her hands and like make stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I hear you talk like a maker.
Yeah.
Right? We have a maker space right here in Connecticut, and you get to, like, there's something, the tactile quality is so appealing for a lot of folks. So that, I just love the energy that you have around that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that pains me, we're getting so much better at it. This podcast being alone, but getting the word out there. So when I was in high school, we took a 4-hour test on a computer, and it would populate what you would be good at, what your career path could be. And it's just a word on a piece of paper. You don't really know until you do the other research. And then, I didn't really get to see anything. I always I always knew that I wanted to work with my hands. My dad owned an auto body and repair shop. And so I was always tinkering with stuff and getting my hands dirty. But I just didn't know what was out there. And then now I see, that the high schools are getting into it. Like we didn't have that at my school, at least, at the time. And, I think that's the biggest thing, is just getting them exposure earlier on. And even if it's just telling them about it. The past 2 years I've gone to the ACM, the Aerospace Component Manufacturers Trade Show in Hartford
last week, right?
Yep. On behalf of, and with Kamatics and, middle school, high school kids. And some of these kids don't have programs at their school. So they're coming there to get the exposure. And then there are some that have the machines in the school, and they're able to do a little bit of it. But, there's also people that are in the certificate programs that are in the colleges right now that are doing the same certificate program that I had done. And I think it's really exciting to, show them, like, look, this is what you can do. And, especially here, I am like, I went through this, like I can help you, kind of understand more that this can be fun. Like this is just a class that you're taking, but there's a lot more behind it. Even when I went to the certificate program, and one of the classes, there was, chapter 1, and it's like what you can do with this degree. And again, it's just words on a board. You don't really get to see it in action. So you still just don't understand until you're out there. And, even if you just want to get your feet wet in it and get your hands dirty and, become a machinist, just get into a manufacturing plant, whatever you're doing, because there are so many positions you can be in, and you will get exposed to all of them and start to learn. And don't be afraid of, asking people questions like, hey, what are you doing for work? What do you do on a daily basis? How did you get here? What education do you have? And just, you can lead yourself to a position that you may thoroughly enjoy. You just might not know right at first, but there's so many different positions out there.
And what does your team, what does your team do? I remember that you said your team does a really cool thing, right? You make recommendations about new products and things, right?
Yeah, we actually are more of, it's called the manufacturing technology cell, and we take complex parts that may have been difficult for production to possibly make. It's more of like capability. Can we make this part? And so we have multiple machines that replicate what's out on the production floor. And we take these parts, we create a process, we document it, and, we have the time to work out the kinks, and then we're able to tie it up with a bow and deliver it to production. Because before, sometimes these parts would come through and we're like, okay, we can take them on. But, there's pains that come with new parts and new processes. And, say you need a new tool. Well, it might be a couple days, you can get a rush order on it, but now the machine's sitting. You're losing production because now you cannot run that machine until you get the next part of it. So it just makes it a lot easier for these parts to now be part of Kamatics. And we also help with global changes around the shop, whether, it's us just being a resource when things go wrong. And we also, we're on our second new machine that we have taken in. So we had one Swiss before, but it's still very new. But we had acquired 2 Swiss machines, and they have dedicated processes, and we have put them in our cell, and we're developing those processes so then we can release it to production. So it's so much fun.
Cool stuff. There's so many interesting things. And I know that our producer, Gail, is going to go ahead and drop the information about that event. It's an annual event. This year it was at the Convention Center in Hartford. It's a really great space to start connecting our fabulous young people here in Connecticut to some of the resources and opportunities that we have right here to build a really great career. It never ceases to amaze me how many people don't know how much manufacturing really is in our small but mighty state. And so having somebody straight out of beauty school dropoutism into full-fledged career woman is just a really terrific sounding board. So we're winding down on time here, and I'm going to pull our shake-up factors through. So our first shake-up factor is going out to the moms and the dads and the young people out there. If you're wondering about career opportunities, check out this whole idea of, I have a kid who likes to make stuff and likes to work with their hands. Well, maybe there's an opportunity to start pointing that kid and exploring manufacturing and, showing up at some of the local association meetings that we have here in Connecticut to see what kind of resources are available for kids who like to work with their hands, because they can be as successful as Kristina. Shake-up factor 2 that jumped out at me was that the silly advice of be yourself can land in, how do I act? How do I dress? Where am I hiding myself, or where am I letting myself shine through? So let's think about this in terms of the behaviors. I love that Kristina pinpointed some behaviors for us that give us a place to land that advice known as be yourself. So those 2 are hot. We look forward to hearing from everybody on social media about what you're going to do with what you learned on the podcast today. Go try this stuff on in your life. And post back what you tried, what you experiment with today that you learned about from our friend Kristina Pacheco of Kamatics. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a delight.